You know that as of late we have seen really crazy things at the Olympics. I already made a video about the inauguration, and I don't want to keep talking about that, but somehow the Olympics have become a representation of the insanity of the world. And one of those crazy things of these times that we're going through happened today. Angela Carini abandons Olympic fight after 46 seconds against Imane Khelif. And no big deal, right? This should be just a competition. Maybe the other woman was really strong, but it so happens that Khelif is one of two boxers permitted to fight at the Olympics, despite being disqualified from the Women's World Championships last year for failing testosterone and gender eligibility tests. And by the way, the other disqualified person is Lin Yuting from Taiwan. And the most insane thing is that I see more than a few people online defending this person, saying that Algeria being so retrograde in terms of LGBTQ rights, then they would never allow a transgender on their team, so she must be a woman, right? We're talking about Algeria that doesn't even allow homosexuality and it's punished by law, let alone consider that transgenders are a thing, then she must be a woman. At least that's their reasoning. But a bit of the background of this, which, by the way, I want to make it absolutely clear before you keep watching this video that I'm 100% against men in women's sports. I have said it many times. I have explained my stance, even if there's not much to explain, but I wanted to get that 100% clear. I'm going to say something else about that by the end of the video. But this was a statement made by the International Boxing Association regarding those athletes' disqualifications in the World Boxing Championships in 2023. And the interesting thing is that the two boxers who were disqualified, both Imane Khelif and Lin Yuting, were somehow allowed to fight at the Olympics. But the International Boxing Association put out a statement yesterday explaining their decision to disqualify them. And I don't know, at some point this looks like they want to save face or something. Point to note, the athletes did not undergo a testosterone examination, but were subject to a separate and recognized test, whereby the specifics remain confidential. Although we know that at the time, IBA President Umar Kremlev told Russian news agency TASS that the boxers had XY chromosomes. And I don't know how to put this in polite terms, but if you have XY chromosomes, you don't really need to make any testosterone tests. And don't get me with the, oh, chromosomes do not matter, it all comes down to testosterone levels. No. Because there are men with real low testosterone levels who would still be mechanically, physically stronger than most women, even in the same weight bracket. Of course, in extreme cases, like if you put Harry Season against Gina Carano, that could be fun to watch. But in this case, we are talking about approximate weight and something that, of course, includes aggressiveness. Now, sadly, there's still a fringe part of the population who's going to cheer on this because of the rights of trans athletes or whatever they want to talk about. But the problem is that that small section of society has this big megaphone calling everyone else a bigot, calling everyone else intolerant if you don't let these XY chromosome athletes fighting against their XX counterparts. And it's interesting to realize that Imane Khelif was disqualified just hours before the gold medal bout at the Women's World Championship in New Delhi. And Lin Yuting had already won the bronze medal, and it was taken away from it after they failing to meet the criteria. So that's concerning as well, that the International Boxing Association led these individuals to go up the ranks of the World Championships all the way to the end. And one of them got the bronze medal, and the other was about to fight for the gold. How can this happen? And worse yet, how are they allowed to fight at the Olympics? And that's how we got scenes just like this. That smug face after Angela Carini had to quit the fight, just 46 seconds, because she got hit so bad, and she knew that she hadn't been hit so bad in her entire life. This is heartbreaking, especially because she had dedicated this Olympic dream to her late father, and she recalls the grueling training, the grueling days, and her father telling her that she could do it, that this was the time to go all the way. And she went all the way only to be literally her opportunity taken away from her by an XY athlete. And I know this is the worst possible moment to make a joke about this, but the fact is that South Park had already predicted this kind of stuff in which women's sports are not just threatened. Women's sports are being completely destroyed by individuals that in their own categories can only aspire to be mediocre, and their only shot at shining is to enter women's competitions. I would call them men, but they don't even deserve the word man. They don't deserve to be called that. And shame on everyone who is allowing this to happen under the guise of tolerance or inclusivity, or if you don't accept this, you're a bigot. This is just not right. And this is what society is accepting without putting up a fight. Because in which other way this gets to happen at the Olympics? The Olympics used to be about fair competition, about hopes and dreams and the excitement of watching the top of physical human achievement. And it used to be beautiful and wonderful, and it still is in many disciplines. So these woke, parasitic mind ideas are destroying the dreams of millions of women around the world. This is setting us back hundreds of years, only because the one word that seems to be offensive to some distorted sensibilities, and that word is biology. And because they could not keep with the struggle of classes of the working class against the bourgeoisie, then they have to fabricate some kind of made-up nonsense that goes against the most basic tenets of science and the most basic differences between women and men. Don't come here telling me that there are exceptions to the rule. Oh yeah, there are exceptions to the rule, but the moment that you point out the exceptions to the rule, the sentence itself, you implying that there is a rule and exceptions are, well, exceptions. And that is one of the things that people try to gaslight you with terms like everything is relative. And no, not everything is relative. That is a lie. That is something that these parasitic mind agents try to manipulate you with. Which brings us again to the paradox of intolerance. And it seems that these days that you have to tolerate literally everything. And if you don't tolerate literally everything, then you are the problem. And that's why I decided to, let's say, pivot the content of my channel, because I don't like the path this world has been taking lately. When you think we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, it just gets worse. And I myself will not stand on the sidelines just watching. And that's why I feel the need to call these things out. One more thing. Some people say that Angela Carini should have refused to fight, that women should boycott this kind of events, that they should just drop out of the competition altogether, as a way of protesting. Well, Angela trained for years, like any other top-tier athlete, to have a shot at the Olympics, and it was her dream dedicated to her late father. I think she not only has an immense spirit, but also she made the right decision in a split second. She got hit hard. She knew the fight was already unfair, and she decided in an instant that severe brain damage or something worse was not worth it. Her father wouldn't have wanted that for her. So yes, boycotting works, but don't put all responsibility on the athletes. It's easy to just type that from your couch. You're not the one who has gone through the insane training, especially in boxing. But you know what works? Stop voting for communists. Stop voting for woke tolerance gaslighters. Stop giving power to people with sadistic ideologies. They have started this mess, and the bad news are that it's going to get worse unless we do something to stop them. But as usual, I would like to know what is your opinion in the comments. And since these topics are not the most YouTube friendly, if you know what I mean, I strongly suggest that you subscribe to my email list and my locals account in the link of this video. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Battle Language Guy. Much love and bliss.